Good morning. I'm Reverend Jessica Clay. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the lead minister here. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a community of youth, adults, and children of many diverse theologies, held together by covenant, not creed. Today we gather on this post-July 4th Sunday. You can take a breath. Today we gather to grieve our heartbreak, to remind ourselves that we are better together than apart, and to nurture hope. You are welcome here just as you are, in the complexity of this moment, as we search for the divine together. Welcome this morning to our visitors. We're so glad you are here. If you need something to occupy your hands, or if you have young ones who don't want to go to the RE program, this is our Soulwork Center over here. You're welcome to get something back there. And if you would like to have a joy or sorrow named in the prayer today, please write it on a slip of paper and place it in the bowl in the Soulwork Center before the opening hymn. If you're watching online, please place it in the chat box. And let's take a moment and welcome our online Zoomers, and especially the Eau Claire congregation who's Zooming in this morning. Welcome all, waving from Minnesota. Welcome to our church on this beautiful morning together. Together we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
My name's Amy. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm your Director of Religious Education. Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place.
I'm still Gloria, and my pronouns are she, her. Like many of you, I think, I come from a long line of quilters. When we visited my grandparents' farmhouse in the middle of South Dakota, we 7 kids slept in old, thinly mattressed, sway-backed beds, covered with layers of my grandmother's wool patchwork quilts. Sleeping together, my next youngest sister and I probably comprised a total of 100 pounds of little girl, covered by 50 pounds of quilt. I remember one night in particular in which we laughed hysterically in both senses of the word, giggling and a little unnerved, when we realized we were pretty much immobilized by the weight of all that handmade love that kept us so warm, even in the middle of a South Dakota winter. And I remember learning to make that kind of quilt. My tools were a 4-inch square template cut out of cardboard, a pencil, a pair of dodgy scissors, some fabric scraps, a needle and thread. I would trace around the template to mark the squares on the fabric, then cut along the lines and lay out the squares. The first row went dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, and the second, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. As diligently and carefully as a 9-year-old could, I sewed the squares into rows and then sewed the rows together, creating a checkerboard of cotton. To this day, my mother and grandmother come to my side whenever I'm quilting, making sure that all the points of all the shapes match up as perfectly as humanly possible as I carry on that long tradition. 35 years ago, I wrote these words in their honor. It's simply called Quilt. Lives evolve in patterns, intermixing dark and light, calico and solid times, faded prints and bright. Sometimes we choose the pattern, but we all too often find a crazy quilt where we had planned geometric safe design. Holding front and back for me and all that's in between is love of family and friends, like stitches barely seen, that thread the blocks together, that heighten and define, all that makes this quilt unique, all that makes it mine. Mornings, as I make my bed, pulling wrinkles all away, I greet the most familiar blocks. I know you. Yesterday, you were the blouse my sister wore, and you my father's vest, and here is grandma's apron, and there my daughter's dress. By night, I rest and feel its warmth, knowing there will be more of darkness and of light, patterns yet to see, until it's time to rest at last, safe within the folds of the quilt made by my mother's hands that keeps me from the cold. I light the chalice today for honored traditions that draw our ancestors near and bring us joy. Please join me in the opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. The hymn is number 323 in the Gray Hymnal.
All right, I'm going to invite the kids and anyone who would like to help participate in the story to come forward this morning. And Reverend Shay and I have a story for you all.
Amy,
Yes, Reverend Shay?
I see that you know, but not everybody probably knows that I'm Rev Shay. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the associate sabbatical minister here, and I'm in charge today.
Okay. I'll remember that.
So I need you to do something for me, please.
Okay, sure.
Could you go out and just take some time and find me the absolutely worst thing in the world?
Okay, yeah, sure. Sure thing.
We're just going to wait here. We're just waiting. You're just waiting. How was your 4th of July, everybody? Hot, good. Did you go to the lake? Yeah, no, some yeses, some no's. I stayed in the air conditioning. Oh, hey, Amy.
Oh, hey, Reverend Shay.
Why are your hands empty? Didn't I tell you to find something?
I
mean,
did.
I asked you to find something.
You did. You did, and Reverend Shay, I did find something.
Oh, what was? Well, tell us all. Thank you. Tell us all, please, what you found.
See, my tongue.
I saw
Stick
your
it out
tongue.
at you, and that's not very nice now, is it?
No.
I can stick it out at you.
Is that the worst? That's the worst thing that you found?
The worst thing. Well,
Oh.
I can say mean things.
Oh, yeah.
I can sing off tune.
You could.
Pretty bad. Yeah. I can eat things that maybe make me sick. Mm-hmm. I could lie. I could say things that hurt people's feelings. So yeah, it's a pretty...
Hurts my feelings when you stick your tongue out at me.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I did ask you to. Thank you. Okay, so if the worst thing in the world is our tongues that can cause us to do all these hurtful and harmful things, can you go out and find what the most beautiful thing in the world is?
All right, fine.
Thanks. We're just waiting. Just waiting. So, what about those twins? Amy. Oh, a long time.
Things take time.
Things take time. So what did you find this time? Oh, okay. Okay?
Didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't see that coming. You want to explain it for me?
Yeah, so I mean, just as I can say things that are mean and hurtful, I can say things that are loving and kind. I can sometimes sing in tune. I can eat things that are lovely and so good and that nourish me, right? I can talk about the awe and wonder and beauty in the world.
Yeah.
I can offer help, and I can say things to you, help comfort you if I've hurt your feelings by sticking my tongue out to you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I can apologize.
Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you found the worst thing in the world is our tongues, and the best thing in the world is also our tongues, because, like, however we decide to use them.
Yeah. So I think as Unitarian Universalists, one of the things that we remember is that part of our job in community is to help one another make good choices with what we've got, right? So sometimes we do say things that are hurtful on accident, and even sometimes on purpose, right? Does that happen sometimes? Have you ever said something mean to somebody? Never? Never, ever? Wow.
Wow, I bet your family.
Should we ask all of them? Should we ask? Have you ever said something that was maybe hurtful to somebody before? Yeah. We all have, because we're human.
We're human.
And so sometimes we need to apologize, and sometimes even in community, we can do the work of being there for one another when our feelings have been hurt. We can offer comforting words, right? We can help others apologize or recognize that they've been hurtful. And this is really important work that we do here, right? As Unitarian Universalists, right here in this congregation.
Or when we're sad, we can offer comfort too. Yeah. Thank you. You did a good job.
Oh, you too.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you all for listening. We're going to sing our children on their way. The hymn is Go Lift It Up.
Will you take a breath with me as we prepare for our time of prayer and meditation? I invite you to get comfortable in your seat, cast your eyes down or close them or look out the windows as we prepare to hold the joys and the sorrows of this community and the wider world in this time together. We know that all in this space this morning are carrying both joys and sorrow. And so first we make space for the joy that people have asked us to name this morning. We celebrate the 90th circle around the sun for the Dalai Lama, whose life is a blessing. We celebrate with Tim Perfect and Ashley Corvin as they are going to be getting married in 75 days. Was this announced last week too? Okay, great. Great. Is this going to be in every week? Maybe. You know what? Love is something to be celebrated, and that's wonderful. We celebrate with you both. And maybe if there's any joy you would like to name into this space, you can name it now. And you can name it loud. As we make space for joy, we also make space for sorrow, for those who are carrying heartbreak in this space and online. Let's take a breath together as we enter this time of naming sorrows. We offer care for a member here whose sister-in-law is living into a breast cancer diagnosis. We send solace and loving kindness for Lisa Borg and her family as they mourn the death of Lisa's sister, Valerie. We send care to Kent and Bjorn as they mourn the loss of April Alfeth, who passed on July 3rd. We hold you both in so much care, and all who loved April. May her memory be a blessing. And we hold all of the people who are missing people and children in the horrific floods of Texas, as our hearts have broken watching that news. We hold all of the people who are affected by climate change and climate disasters. We hold these families in deep care as they wait and wonder and grieve. We hold Joanna Macy, who is an eco-theologian who is currently in hospice as she makes her transition from this life. And I offer a quote from her for our prayer today. She said, "Our pain for the world is a very immediate way of recognizing and bowing to our interconnectedness. We are held in a beautiful quilt together, stitched together by our relationships. May we hold each other in the joy and the sorrow as we move through this world, as we move through what it means to be human, what it means to love, and to live with heartbreak. We hold our country in care as we are still held in a quilt together, even though it is being torn in the process." We will now enter a time of a couple minutes of silence, followed by singing hymn number 199, "Precious Lord, Take My Hand." We'll sing it one time through, seated, after a couple minutes of silence. It is a morning of taking breaths. Will you take another breath with me? We make space each Sunday in our service to name our announcements and collect for our offertory plate, recognizing that within the joys and sorrows of this congregation, we also celebrate with joy the generosity that many give to this congregation in all the ways. So to begin our announcements this morning, next Sunday, who likes to start their day off with pancakes? Gloria had a... Is there a tour today, Gloria? Is there a tour? Because I see the tour. Okay, great. I'll announce that too. So next Sunday, we're having a pancake breakfast. Okay. Thank you. Who doesn't love a church pancake breakfast? I mean, does it get more churchy than that? No, it doesn't. And so next Sunday, the men's group will begin serving at 8:30 a.m. What? That's early. It's the summer. I sleep in. Come on down at 8:30. Pancake breakfast for all. And this will be the beginning of our service celebrating that we successfully reached our endowment goal last year. So we never really properly celebrated that. So that is going to be next Sunday, starting with a pancake breakfast. And in case you're like, ooh, I don't know if that's going to get me out of bed that early on a Sunday morning, there will be live music. Did that add the... Great. There is always coffee flowing, yes. And tea and hot chocolate, all the things. So each week we collect for our offering plate. The money collected goes to work to support the work of this church in serving our mission. There are a couple of ways you can give today. You can use the text to give feature. The number will be on the screen momentarily. You can give on the website, or you can place cash or check in the offering basket. Thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we live together. As the offering is collected, we will have another beautiful musical selection from Harmonia. Thank you all, too, for being here this morning. Oh, and I forgot it already. If you're visiting and you're like, I want to get to know more about this place, there's a 12-minute intro and tour after the service. Meet Gloria by the Fabric Wall for that. And so then you can go on about your day or go get coffee. Okay, the offering will now be gratefully collected.
Today's reading is by Ada Limon, a new national anthem. The truth is, I've never cared for the national anthem. If you think about it, it's not a good song. Too high for most of us with the rocket's red glare. And then there are the bombs. Always, always there is war and bombs. Once I sang it at homecoming and threw even the tenacious high school band off key. But the song didn't mean anything, just a call to the field, something to get through before the pummeling of youth. And what of the stanzas we never sing? The third that mentions, no refuge could save the hireling and the slave. Perhaps the truth is every song of this country has an unsung third stanza, something brutal snaking underneath us as we blindly sing the high notes with a beer, sloshing in the stands, hoping our team wins. Don't get me wrong, I do like the flag, how it undulates like water, elemental, and best when it's humbled, brought to its knees, clung to by someone who has lost everything. When it's not a weapon, when it flickers, when it folds up so perfectly, you can keep it until it's needed, until you can love it again, until the song in your mouth feels like sustenance. A song where the notes are sung by even the ageless woods, the short grass plains, the Red River Gorge, the fistful of land left unpoisoned. That song is our birthright, that's sung in silence when it's too hard to go on. That sounds like someone's rough fingers weaving into another's. That sounds like a match being lit in an endless cave. That song that says, my bones are your bones, and your bones are my bones. And isn't that enough?
I want to first thank Harmonia again for that incredible music. Thank you to Laura for the accompaniment. Thank you to our flautist who stepped in at the last minute. And thank you. Yet, if I may hold your hand in the darkness, it is enough, they sang. Can you hear me better? I'm just going to remind you one more time what they sang over and over and over to us. Yet, if I may hold your hand in the darkness, it is enough. Keep those words in your hearts as I go through this sermon on grief. Gloria spoke of family traditions, and I'm going to share with you one of my family traditions. The 4th of July used to be my favorite day of the entire year. The town I grew up in the middle of North Dakota, was host to not only the state's largest parade, but also the largest rodeo, and an art and craft fair in the downtown park. And my parents, who were diligent in their duties as JCs through our Catholic Church, who knows what a JC is? I don't even remember. Something fraternal order of the Catholic Church. Yeah. Anyway, they had a lot to do throughout the holiday weekend or the holiday days. They volunteered at the parade, at the pancake breakfast. Woo, pancake breakfasts. In the 3 evenings of the rodeo, and for anything else that needed to be done throughout those days of celebration. I have pictures and news clippings of my sister and I barely able to walk in costumes, pulling wagons for the doll and pet parade. Fond memories of treasure hunting with my friends under the bleachers at the rodeo, because all those things fell out of people's pockets once they started drinking. Roaming the art in the park, on the park grounds downtown, looking for small trinkets that I could afford with my saved up allowance money, hands sticky from funnel cakes. I had ketchup all over my face from the corn dog, and I would find these treasures like little hand crocheted clothing for my Cabbage Patch dolls. Crafty little wooden signs and embroidered signs to hang in my bedroom that said things like Shay's Palace in pink and do not enter in purple lilacs and rainbows. My extended family would go downtown the night before the 4th and claim our spots on the street with our lawn chairs and blankets, praying the summer thunderstorm that was threatening wouldn't burst open. I remember the smell of sunscreen and mosquito repellent mixing with horse manure, the sounds of music and laughter. As I got older, I became the one participating in the activities instead of just hanging around. I marched in the parade proudly as a member of my high school marching band. I played in the band shell at the park as part of the community orchestra. I sang as part of local vocal ensembles, and I put on theatrical performances with my high school drama department. I became more interested in attending the Bismarck-Mandan Symphony's performance on the state capitol grounds and watching their grand fireworks display than hanging out at the dirty rodeo grounds. I became more comfortable in the quiet of my family's river cabin than the bustle of downtown. And through it all, we shot off fireworks, which have always been legal in Mandan, my town. The entire extended family would come to our house on the evening of the 4th for a barbecue cookout and a fireworks extravaganza, which, to be fair, when I was little, mostly meant spinning blooming flowers and those snakes that stunk like, and the little guys that would shoot up into the air and then the parachute, but the parachute never worked right, so they would tumble to the ground instead of float. And, those little tanks that were supposed to like shoot themselves across the road, but they just tipped over. We always bought 1 pack of bottle rockets, 1 pack, and Grandpa or Dad would help us aim and shoot them, not at the spectators. We would naturally get into this flow with all the other children in the neighborhood, taking turns on the street, watching for who was going out to light their little tank or blooming flower so that we didn't get in the way of their flame or they in our flame. We would, what were those called? Those long things that were brown. They looked kind of like Katie willows, and you would light them, and then you used them to light punks, and then run like hell back to the driveway, even though, the tank wasn't going very far. Only once did anything bad happen. Not that I'm defending fireworks, but only once did anything bad happen. My grandparents lived just a couple houses down from us, and my grandpa, it was his fault, was helping me shoot the bottle rockets, and for some reason we aimed it right at their house, and it went over their house into the backyard, which started a fire in the grass back there, and we had to call the fire department. But it was just a little thing. We had red, white, and blue popsicles and Jell-O. We had decorated cookies. We had clothing covered in images of the flag. Songs like "I'm Proud to Be an American" could be heard everywhere. And the highlight of every large fireworks show is when the Star-Spangled Banner played to the rhythm of the fireworks going off. Except for that one time when one of the fireworks tipped over and started shooting flaming balls into the orchestra that was playing, and that was a showstopper, I can tell you. Exciting in a very different way. So that was my family tradition. I've been trying to figure out when it was that I became ashamed of liking the 4th of July. Trying to remember when I stopped buying and wearing the cheap Independence Day t-shirts from Old Navy, the ones with the big flags on them that wore out by the next summer, so you would go buy more. Trying to figure out when I started equating a flag flying in someone's yard to mean they were them and not us. I remember driving through a rural area of Maine when I lived there a few years ago and commenting to my wife, Diana, about how angry I was that any pride and love I felt about my country had been taken away from me. Co-opted by a religious nationalistic right that misused and abused those things in their claim to the real America. Trying to remember when my tears at America the Beautiful were less about beauty and more about grief. I've been trying to figure out when patriotism, love of this beautiful country, support for the dream that we thought we were building together felt taken from me, felt lost to me. Do you know how to recognize grief? Do you know how and where it feels in your body? Can you tell by things you say, think, do, that you are expressing grief? In all my years, of doing pastoral care, of working with Alzheimer's patients and their caregivers, of being a chaplain in a hospital and a relief worker in a homeless shelter. One thing I've noticed over and over and over again is that we are not very good at recognizing grief. We are certainly not very good at dealing with it in a healthy way. Whenever someone says, I'm just so angry all the time and I don't know why, grief. When someone says, my anxiety has been through the roof and I can't figure out why I'm so scared, grief. When someone says, I have no appetite, I can't sleep, I have no interest in doing things, I can't focus, I think I'm depressed, and also grief. The rise of globalization, of social media, of news in our faces everywhere, the rise of fascism and extremism and military budgets and readily available guns, the rise of untruths and manipulation and gaslighting, the loss of democracy, of civil rights, of safety and security, the loss of trust and connection with each other, with ourselves and with nature. My friends, we have so much to grieve. I mean, not to mention all of our personal losses. The first thing I want to say to you today, although I've been talking for however many minutes already, the most important thing I want to say to you today is that it's okay. Grief is okay. It's okay to have complicated feelings about the 4th of July or any holiday. It's okay to be sad and angry and lost and depressed. It's okay. It's normal, actually. It's quite normal. It is natural and healing for us as people, as humans, to grieve people and pets and things and places and jobs, opportunities, physical losses, mental health crises. It's okay to grieve anything and everything. It's okay. It's normal. It's healthy. And sometimes grief can look like tears and sadness. Sometimes it can look like anger, sometimes apathy, sometimes fear and anxiety. I say this at every single memorial service I do. There is no one right way to grieve. Everyone must find their own way. And every way, as long as you're not hurting somebody else, is valid. So, I'm giving you, as I mentioned in the story earlier, I'm in charge today. I'm giving you permission to grieve. I'm giving you permission to feel your grief. Let yourself feel your grief. You are safe here. You are not alone here. Remember, if in the darkness I can hold your hand, it is enough. In April, Sage Journals published a paper written by a working group of grief professionals of varying sorts. And the whole point of the paper was to reflect this group's discussions and conclusions about what they call political grief. Political grief. Here's what they say. Political grief reflects the sorrow, pain, and disruption experienced by individuals, families, and communities when faced with loss or change due to political actions, events, policies, and ideologies. It manifests itself in various forms, from personal feelings of despair and injustice to collective mourning observed during protests and events. Political grief. There are many losses involved with political grief. A sense of safety, for some of us more than others. One or more aspects of our identity. I used to be so proud to take my partners, my friends back to Mandan for the 4th of July. To show them what this community could do. Diana and I went back last summer, and we will never go back again. A loss of an aspect of our identity, hope and faith in socio-political processes and systems. Political grief. Political grief. Grief and loss of relationships riven apart by political differences. How many of you can't talk to your family about politics? And how many of you are grieving that it's getting harder and harder to talk to them about anything else? Significant reactions to these losses in political grief include ontological insecurity, which is a sense of no longer feeling spiritually comfortable with who we are and how we fit into the world, and a profound sense of alienation, a feeling of disconnection that undermines our sense of belonging and connectedness. Along with, the loss of rights and freedoms and access to health care and all of those things. Our emotional responses, the people who wrote this paper say, our emotional responses to political grief are perplexing, combining anger, sadness, disillusionment, and a sense of disenfranchisement. Yes? Yes. Yes. Perplexing is a good word. So, I invite you to feel your political grief. I don't know a better weekend than after the 4th of July to sit in our political grief and to sit together. And I'm not going to just leave you there. Because that would be mean and very irresponsible of me. I would get fired. Cheryl Espinoza-Jones is a grief counselor. She is the author and host of the Good Grief radio show at Voice America, and she offers us 4 steps for moving through grief. These are pretty basic. Anyone who's done any grief work knows these 4 steps, but you know what? They bear repeating. Step number 1, feel your grief. Be in your grief. We have been taught and conditioned to ignore it. We have been persuaded at every turn that grief is wild and unacceptable, that it must be handled and managed and overwritten and hidden, that it has a prescribed path, and if we don't follow that path, then we're doing it wrong. Step 1 is feel your grief. Step 2, seek solace and comfort. You are not alone, and you don't have to be alone. That's why there are grief counselors. That's why there are support groups. That's why there's a church here for you. You don't have to be alone. Step number 3, find inspiration. One of the most important and effective ways for me to be in my grief and to start to move through my grief is through music, art, poetry, Find inspiration. It might be things that make you cry. Maybe that's what you need, is to cry. It might be music that is like rage rock. Yeah? That you need to rage. Go to a rage room and smash things. Whatever you need to do, do it. But art in all its forms allows grief to reveal itself, allows us to have some way of putting form to what it is we're feeling, this perplexing, complicated stuff. And step number 4, once you've done all this, once you've grounded yourself in your grief, allowed yourself to admit, yes, this is grief. Yes, I need help. Yes, I can find ways to inspire myself through this. Then let it urge you into action. Urge you into action. Cheryl Espinosa-Jones says that an individual's psychology can be healed. One of the most important ways that we can heal, that we can start the healing process, is to find, even if they're tiny, small steps that we can take towards action, towards something that gives us purpose, something that helps us feel like we're moving forward. You can't skip any of these steps. You can't. But at the end of the day, after we've sat, after we've held hands, after we've comforted ourselves and each other, at the end of the day, we need action, she says, to metabolize our grief and transform ourselves and our world. Pauline Boss, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's quite elderly now, but she has been a professor at the U of M for a long, long time, psychology. She came up with 20 years ago or so this idea of ambiguous grief, ambiguous loss, and she really sort of fleshed the idea out through COVID. The idea, what she says ambiguous loss is where the loss is unclear and it lacks closure. Yeah? Right? Ambiguous loss. She, I think, originally started it for people who were grieving, people who had been kidnapped or were missing, or soldiers that were lost, MIA. And this lack of definitive information about that disappearance, that loss. But she said also, this happens all the time in our lives where we don't get the closure we so long for. She says this type of loss can create profound psychological distress because as individuals, we not only have to contend with our grief, but also with the uncertainty of the situation and the inability to fully process our grief because of that uncertainty. She says the psychological implications of ambiguous loss can hamper the grieving process as we struggle with the uncertainty of our losses. I would think that political grief is an ambiguous loss, huh? We have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't even know what's going to happen when we turn on the news in the car after church. We have no idea. Uncertainty. Here's where I turn this sermon around. I told you I would do it. I'm getting there. Essayist and journalist Rebecca Solnit wrote a book a few years ago called Hope in the Dark. Any of you read that? Excellent, excellent book, especially for these times. Hope in the Dark. It's a tiny little book. Quick. Hope in the Dark. She says this. I want you to remember that Pauline Boss talks about the uncertainty of ambiguous loss, okay? Rebecca says, hope locates itself in the premises that we don't know what will happen, and in that spaciousness of uncertainty is our chance to act. When you recognize uncertainty, you recognize that you may be able to influence the outcome. You alone, or you in concert with a few dozen or several million others. Hope is an embrace of the unknown and the knowable. It is the belief that what we do matters. What we do matters even though how and when it may matter, we can't know. Even though who and what it may impact, we can't know. We are not given these things beforehand. We might not even know after our action, but these actions matter all the same. And she says, and history is full of people whose influence was most powerful after they were gone. Hope lies in the uncertainty because it has not been closed. There are still possibilities. And in our 4 steps of grief, when we come to action, it is that possibility, those possibilities that we need to imagine and that give us hope. This was going to be a sermon about compassion and empathy, about finding ways to agree to disagree and discovering the ways in which we and them are similar and they're still our kin, and the inherent worth and dignity of all people and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a sermon about how evil is something intangible. It is a consequence of separation and disconnection, and it is. And I was going to quote nonviolent exemplars like Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and MLK Jr., but that's not what this sermon is, obviously, and that's not what it needed to be. Right now, today, in our grief, in our despair, in our fear and anger, let's just be. Let's just be here. Sit with it together. If in the darkness I can hold your hand, it is enough. Together in the uncertainty, together in the unraveling and the undoing, and together in the hope of possibility. Someday, another Sunday, I or Rev Jessica maybe will probably tell you how now is the time to move into hope, to spring into action. Someday, maybe on another beautiful summer morning like this, someone, maybe me or Rev Jessica, will tell you to stop feeding the hurtful, hateful, holier-than-thou tongue and start feeding the loving, patient, kind, and compassionate. That is not today. That is not my message. Today, right now, we're just here together. Let's just be here together. If in the darkness I can hold your hand, it is enough. Take a breath. Former poet laureate Richard Blanco, who is a son of immigrants, who is gay, wrote this poem called The Complaint of El Rio Grande. I was meant for all things to meet, to make the clouds pause in the mirror of my waters, to be home to fallen rain that finds its way to me, to turn eons of loveless rock into lovesick pebbles and carry them as humble gifts back to the sea which brings life back to me. I felt the sun flare, praised each star flocked about the moon long before you did. I've breathed air you'll never breathe, listened to songbirds before you could speak their names, before you dug your oars in me, before you created the gods that created you. Then countries, your inventions, maps jigsawing the world into colored shapes caged in bold lines to say, you're here, not there. You're this, not that. To say, yellow isn't red, red isn't black, black is not white. To say, mine, not ours. To say, war, and to believe life's worth is relative. You named me Big River, drew me blue, thick, to divide, to say spick and Yankee, to say wetback and gringo. You split me in two, half of me us and the rest them. But I wasn't meant to drown children, to hear mothers' cries, never meant to be your geography, a line, a border, a murderer. I was meant for all things to meet. The mirrored clouds and the sun's tingle, birds' songs and the quiet moon, the wind and its dust, the rush of mountain rain and us. I was meant for all things to meet. Blood that runs in you is water flowing in me, both life, both the truth we know. Be one in one another. If in the darkness I can hold your hand, it is enough. We are here together. You are not alone. And let that comfort you as you sit in this grief, and let it move you, when you're ready, into hope and action. May it be so, and amen. Thank you. Thank you. Please stay standing. I'm going to take a cue from Rev. Jessica here. Please repeat after me these words by Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends.
Take courage, friends.
The way is often hard.
The way is often hard.
The path is never clear.
The path is never clear.
And the stakes are very high.
And the stakes are very high.
Take courage.
Take courage.
For deep down there is another truth.
For deep down there is another truth.
We are not alone.
We are not alone.
And join me in our closing words. May peace dwell within our hearts and understanding in our minds. And may grace fill our